language. I just think it's not.
So, Duncan, do you think she's doing a good job leading? How about, let me ask you.
Do I think he's doing a good job leading? What relevance would that have to the discussion?
Because you said that what I'm saying isn't, doesn't make sense. So I want to get where you're coming from so I can make a better.
I didn't make the claim, nor did I ask the question.
But I'm trying to ask so I can clarify, so I can make it so it can sound more, make it sound more sensible for you. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, is he leading the country? Yes. Like that. That's literally the only way.
He's leading. Okay, we can agree that he's leading the country.
Is he leading? Yes, he's leading.
Okay, he's leading the country. Okay, yes, we can agree on that. Is he being a good leader?
I have no idea. Because I don't know what you mean by good there. Again, if you're trying to say,
if you don't think good means,
if you're trying to ask me, is he aligning? If you're trying to ask me if he's aligning with the people, with his constituents, with the people that voted for him, then I would say most likely, sure. And if that's the threshold, like if that's what we're indexing to determine whether or not this is a, quote, good leader in the eyes of the person asking the question, then I would say yes. If I asked a Democrat, for example, is Donald Trump doing a good job? Chances are the overarching result of that question is going to be no. So it's hyper subjective. So it's not, and I'm not trying to like dog you out or anything. I'm just saying that question.
So we have no metric to measure if someone's a good leader or not?
In terms of good, the only metric you would have would be preference, unless there is some objective standard by which you could measure this with. And I would say a good leader, I don't know that in context of POTUS, for example, I don't know that there would be such a metric.
So Duncan, so let's say he decided to bomb, let's say to bomb a city, just did it just because, and it was supporting some other group of people. Is he a good leader because he supported other people's beliefs, or would he be a bad leader?
Who would be other people? What do you mean by other people? Like, who are you referring to?
Like this group of people said, yeah, we should like take over, or we should just bomb this certain area where people live, and he actually does it. Is he a good leader because he was doing what the other group wanted, or would that still make him a bad leader?
Like, here's what I would say. I would say if POTUS were to step outside of the scope of the duties of his office, that would make him a bad leader.
And what is his duties?
His duties is, of the executive branch. So if he were to, like, for example, violate the Constitution, then, yeah, I'd say he's a bad leader. Just as an example. But to ask me for my hyper-subjective, does this POTUS, the actions of POTUS, does it align with my preferences? Well, that carries no weight in the discussion whatsoever. Because this panel could be completely divided in terms of that. And then you would still, if you polled the panel and got a 50-50 split result, you'd be no closer to an answer than you were before you ever posed the question.
I get what you're saying. I don't entirely agree with it, but I get what you're saying. It's not, I don't think it's very important because it's going sidetracked now. But you said that men are inherent leaders, like you talking about DNA wise?
Biological.
In our DNA?
Yeah.
Okay, what study are you getting?
I can pull up several from NIH or
Yeah, can you pull that up? That we have like a leadership gene, or
he takes a deep breath at center ice. It's go time here, and he reads it perfectly on that penalty shot.
Yeah, I love the way he was so aggressive and he really challenged. It's a one-on-one battle, James, and he wins it.
Jeffrey's known to bring the offense for his team. Jordan's known for picking his opponent's pockets with his joint zone ability. Those takeaways can lead to offensive attacks. Those are two big names.
And we're going to get a penalty coming up here.
I'm sure that it's not inherent, biological, or it's in nature for males to be leaders. Because there's a lot of examples where there's leadership is masculinity. Masculinity is a social contract which can be subjective. So
I don't think it was the argument for it being a social.
Do you know what social construct is?
I do. What's the argument for it being a social?
Well, masculinity stems from what the societal deems as what refers to like being a man and stuff like that. So it shows it can vary from culture to culture. It's not a universal thing. So,
yeah, I don't listen much to that argument. I didn't ask you where it stems from or whether or not it's associated with being a man. I asked you what's the argument that masculinity is going to be the social.
I mean, it's a fact. That's the fact. Masculinity is a fact.
That's literally making.
I mean, I don't know how you want. Wait, so I got a question. Do you think gender is a social construct, even?
I'm not for sure why.
Wait, that's not burdenship because masculinity is stemming off gender.
Can we stay linear?
Wait. Masculinity and femininity is stemming off gender, so it wouldn't be social contract. Wait, what?
Yeah, what's the argument for that?
What's the argument that masculinity is stemming from gender?
Hello?
You said what's the argument for masculinity stemming from gender?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you two premises that lead to conclusion. So, gender is based on things that are proposed in society, which can be traits that can vary from culture to culture. Gender is one of those traits that vary from culture to culture. Therefore, it is a social construct.
It doesn't follow. Is the argument for premise one?
What's the argument for premise one?
Yeah, like you're literally begging the question with premise one.
I'm not begging the question for premise one.
Yeah, because it has your conclusion in premise one.
What's my conclusion?
That gender comes from some societal contract, which is begging the question.
How is it begging the question?
I just told you. Hello?
You didn't.
Wait, I'm sorry. Am I being gaslit right now?
Yeah, so what was premise one again?
Yeah, premise one, gender is derived from social constructs.
I said society.
Yeah, what's a social construct?
No, I said no. I said gender is derived from society.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is a social construct derived from society?
What was premise two?
Yeah, let's see, what was it? Oh, masculinity is the type of thing established by gender, therefore, notice opponents. Yeah, it doesn't follow.
Oh.
I've already told you.
I think it follows.
Yeah, I think you're confused severely.
It's not.
So you're going to need to...
What's your argument that gender isn't a social construct?
Yeah, argument shift, hello? You expect argumentation for negation?
I think so. What's your argument that gender is a social construct?
Are you in the right room, burden shifter?
So, what is your argument that gender is a social construct?
Yeah, I don't have to have one because I've made no claim.
You asserted it. You asserted it, though.
I'm holding to a negation. Hello?
Yeah, you have to still defend it, though.
I don't have to defend a negation. The burden is on you, sir.
And I already gave you my argument for it. So, and you're disagreeing. You can disagree all you want, but...
Yeah, your argument is the question, and I've already demonstrated...
You can have an argument. What is your evidence for your argument?
Bro, you are terrible at this.
Not. What is your evidence for your argument?
The evidence I've already laid out, that your conclusion is inferred within premise one, which needs an argument.
What is your evidence that gender is...
I've already told you. Lock in, Jay.
Wait, what is your evidence that gender is a social construct?
I don't have to prove the negation. Hello?
So gender is a social construct. Thank you. So
what's the argument for that?
Gender is a social construct.
That's circular. What's the argument?
Gender is a social construct.
You are literally begging the question.
Gender is a social construct.
Dude, get the fuck off my pen.
That's just what it is.
Fuck off my pen.
No argument. That was crazy.
Host, I'm 24.
I know, Protect, how are you?
I'm cool. I'm good. How are you?
Actually painful to listen to. Not gonna lie. Before you Duncan, I feel bad for you.
Like,
Don't feel bad for me. I enjoy
He was literally fucking basically saying like, oh, it's an apple, but like social construct says it's an orange, so now it's an orange. But then at that point, then nothing means anything.
Quite an interesting group of people. You have Cristal here.
Yeah, Jay, they were just about to show you, but there's two NIH studies that were performed that prove that men and women can lead in certain aspects in different categories, men are more effective as leaders and subordinate individuals.
We need to study on I don't understand why people don't just look at
no, I know you didn't say they weren't, but Jay, they are more, and it says too that they are due to their higher levels of testosterone and their competitive behaviors compared to women, which is biological. Yeah, so it's biologically true. They are biologically driven.
Anything that's ever happened, it's been fucking male.
Well,
why are we even questioning it?
Well, specifically Catholic men. Those are, yeah.
No, actually, not even.
Those are the best leaders. They're the best,
but like even non-Catholic men are better leaders than like atheist women. You know what I mean?
How old is the study? Check.
It's just factual.
I do want to speak to the host because she kind of lied to me about getting a free phone. Very, very devious action.
Well, I loved how he challenged the shooter on this, James. He didn't sit back in his net. He came right out to the top of the paint.
He's still talking about gender. This is a social construct.
It's not a social construct. That's biology.
This is a penalty shot all day long. He was free and clear, and he was about to get the shot off and got hit from behind.
Ryerson scores!
The players practice penalty shots and breakaways all the time in practice. Different story in real time. For in game, you got to find a way to have the confidence and trust in what you're going to do. It looked like he knew exactly what he's going to do when he stepped out there, James, and he buried it.
And that brings in to this one here this evening. It's a loss in their debut in the EASHL, but Counter, you tell me, how do you sum this performance up?
Well, I think you have to look at the details of the game and where you can improve and build upon. I mean, you use your first game as a platform, a measuring stick to where you want to get to and how far you want to go. I don't think they should be too disappointed.
It may not sound like it should be whenever you're young. It may not sound all nice. Once you get older, it should be whenever you're
behind your back to betray you. You have faith in her every single day. You don't know
if I started to observe evidence that she wasn't being faithful to me, would I?
Why is she for being damn good?
I have evidence in my life that it's not just behind the proof.
The other person's opponents are now sort of more effect, right? You know, when these two are complete,
And I'm myself. If God wants me alive,
Remember I was taught, keep your head inside a box. You can never be a
out of my hometown and all of us in the 70s.
Don't you dare. We're preserving African sea lion birth. Species, ma'am. No, somebody was trying to, somebody clocked that on the panel and they heard it go off and they said, who was that? Because they were trying to see if she fit the stereotype.
I mean, she told me that she was putting batteries in it earlier. I guess that never came.
Welcome to EA Sports. I'm James Cebulski. Well, here we go. The debut performance in the EASHL.
Oh, I see. No, that's not your job. That's okay.
Also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to take place.
Both
The wind goes
look
toward the
ready to go, as does the official. Let's bring it on.
whirls about it.
The Nighthawks are going to start with the puck after taking the opening draw. Right. And he shuts down a great scoring chance there. Just here in the late stages of this frame, still scoreless in this one. And they take possession here in the offensive zone, and time to go on the attack. And that was a good heads-up read to make that save.
Reminder that Tyler James Williams and Tyrell Jackson Williams are not the same person. Even though Tyler and Tyrell both began their acting careers on Sesame Street and shortly after voice acted on the Nick Jr. animated shows and were both given the lead to their own sitcoms by the time they were 12, Tyler playing Chris and Everybody Hates Chris, and Tyrell playing Leo on Lab Rats. They both made a guest appearance onto each other's shows. Around the time Tyler made a guest appearance on his brother's Disney show, he was given the lead to his own Disney Channel original movie and Let It Shine Tyler's characters in rap. For years, Tyrell was a part of a rap group called Group Therapy. Even though they've acted in similar projects, they both rap, they're both the same height, they both have the same face, and they both have the same parents. Tyler James Williams and Tyrell Jackson Williams are not the same person. To make matters even crazier, they have another brother that looks exactly like them, named Tylen Jacob Williams. Yes, you heard me correctly. Tyler, Tyrell, and Tylen. And to make matters even crazier, Tylen starred in his first sitcom when he was 12. So they all look the same, all have the same exact initials, and all starred in their first sitcom when they were 12. But they are not the same person. Got it. Nowadays, the three of them.
The Nighthawks finally get the game's first goal here in the late goings of this frame. What are they doing right
This is a
here?
brand new Dragon Ball
James, I mean, they've got that attack mentality. They're not sitting back, and now that they put one in, it's about staying the course. I'll need to get to this intermission and talk about continuing to push towards that end goal.
Some of the deadliest machine. Common enemy. To do that, build weapons designed for one purpose only. Units down and wiping them out. But these weren't ordinary machines.
Net to score, guys. His heat seeker zone ability means he can get his wrist shot on target from far out to bury chances. I'm expecting one of these two players to give their team the edge tonight, guys. Back to you.
Oh, he got all of that. What a save by Kaiser.
This is a dialed-in goaltender, very aware, knows where the shooter is in that low slot, and makes the save.
Correct.
Here in
Fast
the
enough
late
to
going
keep
for
up
the
with
period,
trained fighters
we've
and
got a 1-0
superhuman
hockey
opponents.
game thus far.
They can catch punches from Colossus, pressure Wolverine in combat,
And they take possession
even
after the
maneuver
defensive
midair
zone
with the
face-off.
flight control of a hand
Carries
jet.
it into the
They
offensive
can
area.
transform
They
their
make it.
limbs into blades, drills, claws, piercing weapons from all
By the
hand.
goaltender once again.
1 second, it's a hand. The next, it's a sword through your chest. Their strength is just absurd. They can overpower Colossus, smash through concrete, rip apart metal structures, throw mutants like ragdolls, and even tear someone like Colossus in half when working together. They don't stop when damaged. Lose a limb? Doesn't matter. Pieces of them can still function independently after being torn off. Pain isn't a factor. Fear isn't a factor. Hesitation doesn't exist because Sentinels don't feel anything. And that's what really makes them horrifying. Most villains talk, they monologue, they hesitate, they savor the moment. The Sentinels don't. They arrive at the scene, scan for the XG half a mile away, and execute. No speeches, no warnings, no mercy. They don't care if you surrender. They don't care if you run. They don't care if you're not even a mutant yet. They can detect people and might pass the gene to their children someday. To them, that's reason enough. They are pure mechanical inevitability. Their weapons only make it worse. Energy beams strong enough to vaporize targets. Ammunition capable of shredding cars, punching concrete. Firepower that can overwhelm Omega-level mutants and deployed in groups. They can tank explosions, survive energy blasts, regenerate damage, and keep fighting under attacks that would level buildings. One even survives a massive jet explosion and flies straight back into battle like nothing happened. And the scariest part? They won. In their original timeline, they didn't just defeat the X-Men. They defeated everyone. Mutants, humans, resistance fighters, the entire world fell. Civilization collapsed. The planet became a graveyard patrolled by machines. The only reason they ever stopped was because time itself could not rewritten. Think about that. The heroes didn't defeat them. They erased them from history. That's the level of threat we're dealing with. These aren't just villains who punch harder. They're a bad ending, a fail state, a future where resistance only delays the inevitable. Because the Sentinels aren't trying to conquer the world. They're trying to finish it. Once they find you, they don't stop. They can't be reasonable. They can't be scared. They can't be exhausted. They can only be slowed down. That's exactly why they're one of the most terrifying forces ever put on screen. Now, before we start, quick rule for this gauntlet. Everyone here is fighting 5 Sentinels, not an army. And that matters a lot. Some of these characters absolutely would get overwhelmed if you threw 20, 50, 100 Sentinels at them, because eventually the machines would adapt and swarm them. But 5 is a different story. 5 means there's still a window where raw power, speed, or abilities can take them down before that adaptation kicks in. So if someone wins here, it means they can destroy 5 Sentinels fast enough that the machines never get the chance to catch up. First up, Magneto. Magneto is insanely dangerous in most fights. This is the guy who can rip stadiums apart, move bridges, control armies of metal weapons, basically turn an entire city into his personal arsenal against almost any opponent. That level of battlefield control is a nightmare. But against the Sentinels, we already seen how this goes. These Sentinels aren't metal. They're made of a special adaptive polymer specifically designed so Magneto can't control them. And in the film timeline where they exist, they already won. They hunted mutants to near extinction, including Magneto himself. So Hulk is absolutely a top-tier threat. Normally, against 5 Sentinels built to counter him, Magneto loses. Next up, Ultron. This is actually a nightmare matchup for the Sentinels. See, physically, 5 of them could pressure Ultron for a bit. They're strong, fast, adaptive, and relentless. Ultron's biggest weapon has never been his body, it's his mind. This dude hacked the entire internet in seconds, could control global nuclear systems, and infect other machines like a virus. The Sentinels, they're machines, adaptive machines, sure, but still machines. Ultron realizes what they are, and stops being a fight, turns into a takeover. Instead of 5 enemies, he suddenly has 5 new bodies. Ultron wins. Homelander. This one's rough for him. Homelander's terrified in his universe.
Well, that'll do it for all of us here at EA Sports. I'm Steve Samolsky, and we'll see you next time from ringside.
The Sentinels are a completely different tier of threat. These things were overpowered mutants like Colossus, gaining explosions, regenerating lost limbs, and instantly adapting to powers mid-fight. Homelander's whole moveset is laser plus punch plus intimidation. Intimidation definitely isn't working on emotionless kill needs. The second he analyzes his vision durability level, they counteract. 5 of them surrounding him, that's a wrap. Homelander loses. Doomsday. This is honestly a nightmare for the Sentinels. Their whole advantage is temptation. They copy powers, counter abilities, and evolve mid-fight. The Doomsday is basically the original adaptation monster. He evolves in real time, growing stronger from every attack, every energy blast, every hit Superman lands. The Sentinels trying to adapt to him, basically trying to help adapt something whose entire biology is built to do that same thing faster and more violently. And unlike most opponents, Doomsday doesn't get tired, doesn't hesitate, doesn't need strategy. He just keeps escalating until everything around him is rubble. 5 Sentinels isn't enough time for them to catch up to that herd. Doomsday wins. Iron Man. Tony's got one of the best chances out of the tech-based characters here. The 5 Sentinels is just a brutal number to deal with at once. In the MCU, he's fought armies before. Chitauri, Ultron drones, even Thanos' forces. And his suit packs serious firepower, scanning systems, and adaptability. The problem is the Sentinels specialize in countering exactly that. They analyze abilities on the fly, shift their composition, and adjust defenses mid-battle. Tony might drop 1 or 2 quickly with high output blast or smart targeting, maybe even try to hack them. But the second they start adapting to his energy signatures and attack patterns, the fight tilts fast. He just doesn't have the raw power or speed to wipe all 5 before they adjust. Iron Man loses. Hulk. Now, 5 Sentinels is terrifying for most characters. The Hulk is basically the worst possible matchup for them. In the MCU, Hulk's whole thing is that the longer a fight goes, the worse it gets for his opponent. He gets angrier, stronger, more relentless the longer he's pressured. The Sentinels do adapt. They adapt to powers, not an exponential rage scale. We've seen Hulk ragdoll Leviathans, paint point-blank explosions, and trade blows with bull. Even if the Sentinels start adjusting to his strength or durability, Hulk's output keeps climbing faster than they can recalibrate. Unlike more tactical fighters, Hulk doesn't hesitate. He smashes. 5 Sentinels trying to swarm him just means 5 targets in arm's reach. Hulk wins. Thanos. Thanos is just operating on a completely different level than Sentinels from the jump. In the MCU, he's overpowering Hulk barehanded, taking hits from Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America at the same time, and shrugging off attacks that would flatten cities. The Sentinels' whole thing is adapting to powers, and that only works if they survive long enough.
This season, you've got places to go, people to see, and things to do. You may have already gotten vaccinated
to adapt. Thanos hits way too hard and fights way too smart for that to happen. He's used to fighting entire teams of superpowered opponents at once and winning. So 5 Sentinels isn't overwhelming to him. It's Tuesday. They might adjust to his strength, durability, or combat eventually, but they're not lasting long enough for that to matter. Thanos wins. Omni-Man. Omni-Man is basically a walking extinction event. 5 Sentinels just aren't built to handle that level of raw speed and violence all at once. In the show, he's flying through cities, obliterating armies, wiping out entire alien civilizations solo, and splattering superhumans who are way tougher than anything the Sentinels fought in Days of Future Past. The Sentinel's cold wind condition is adapting to powers mid-fight, but that requires time, and Omni-Man does not give opponents time. He fights like a missile with anger issues. He'd rip through one, then another, before their systems even finish analyzing what hit them. They might eventually figure out counters if there were dozens of them, but against 5, they're getting blitzed and torn apart. Omni-Man wins. Vision. Vision's tricky because on paper, he's got some really good tools here. Phasing, flight, density control, energy beams. It's a solid kit against most opponents. The problem is that Sentinels are literally designed to fight powers like this. We see them adapt mid-battle to human abilities almost instantly. Covering ice with fire, fire with ice, matching bosses with metal form, and adjusting tactics in seconds. Vision phases. They analyze it and start attacking it anyways. If you blast them, they adapt their durability or energy. Unlike most enemies, Vision fights. These things don't panic, don't hesitate, and don't stop. 5 of them coordinating issues too much pressure. Vision could stall. Maybe 2. The Sentinels learning him in real time is a losing matchup. Vision loses. This Prime is an absolute powerhouse. He's tearing through Decepticons, surviving city-level destruction, fighting Megatron and other high-tier Transformers head-on. The guy is a walking war machine with insane weapon skill and ridiculous endurance. The problem is, 5 Sentinels aren't just strong, they're adaptive. They analyze abilities mid-fight and counter them almost immediately. Optimus fights with a pretty consistent toolkit: strength, weapons, durability, combat skill, and once the Sentinels read that, they start adjusting. They've already shown they can overpower beings on the boss's level and tear them apart physically. 2 of them literally ripped him in half. Optimus is stronger than bosses in raw feats, sure, but not so overwhelmingly stronger that 5 adaptive machines could eventually compensate. He definitely takes some down, no question. He's not all 5 before they adapt to him. Optimus loses.
The sticks are taped, the jerseys are on, and there is no safety net. It is time to do it for real here in the EASHL.
This is the guy who takes hits from the hole, survives the full force neutron star. He falls down continent-level lightning storms and can wipe out entire armies with a single blast. The Sentinels' whole thing is adaptation. They study powers mid-fight and counter them. But Thor doesn't rely on just one ability. He's got god-tier durability, absurd physical strength, massive AoE lightning attacks, flight, weapons, and battlefield control. Storm and Bishop were already shown damaging Sentinels with energy. Thor's lightning dwarfs both of theirs by a ridiculous margin. 5 Sentinels would try to adapt, sure, but Thor hits so hard and so fast they don't get the time. He'd fry multiple at once before they could even finish analyzing. Thor wins. Darth Vader. Now Vader is terrifying against almost anyone. The Sentinels are basically the exact wrong matchup for him. His biggest advantages are precision telekinesis, lightsabers, and battlefield control. Problem is, the Sentinels don't panic, don't hire, don't fight like people. They fight like a learning algorithm. Vader might crush or slice one apart early. It's absolutely possible. The second that happens, the remaining four start adapting. They've countered elemental powers, physical rotations, energy attacks, and made it fight before. The lightsaber is deadly, sure, but it's still just a form of an energy blade. Vader's main offensive tool loses its edge. His force powers here are basically telekinesis, which they can adapt to as well. Against one or two, Vader could win. Against five adapting simultaneously, they overwhelm him. Darth Vader loses. Juggernaut. Now, Juggernaut is an absolute pain. The dude shrugs off gunfire, smashes through walls, ragdolls Deadpool, and treats armored vehicles like toys. If this were a straight brawl against something that fights fair, you'd be terrified. But the Sentinels don't fight fair. They analyze. Two of them are able to rip Colossus in half, and Colossus is basically the closest comparison point we've got for Juggernaut in that universe. Big, durable, a melee bruiser. Juggernaut might bulldoze one Sentinel early just through raw momentum. But five at once means they surround, adapt, and counter. They can stab, restrain, glide, fire, blast, and change composition mid-fight. Juggernaut has power, but he doesn't have speed, range, or versatility. And those are exactly the things you need before they figure you out. He hits hard, but they learn. Juggernaut loses. The Terminator. This is honestly one of the roughest matchups on the list. A Terminator is scary to humans because it's relentless, durable, and doesn't feel pain. The Sentinels are basically Terminators scaled up into nightmare mode. They're bigger, faster, stronger, and fly with shape-shifting weapons, fire energy beams, self-repair, and worst of all, adapt. A Terminator trying to fight five Sentinels and a calculator trying to fight five supercomputers. Even heavy weapon Terminators don't have the firepower to put them down fast enough before they get analyzed and countered. They wouldn't even need to adapt much. They already outclass it physically and technologically. The Terminator gets obliterated. And lastly, Superman. Superman is basically the nightmare scenario for the Sentinels adaptation gimmick. These things are scary because they learn new powers mid-fight and counter them. But that only works if they survive long enough to finish the analysis. That's the problem here. Superman is operating on a completely different speed and power tier than anything the Sentinels handle. It's fast enough to statue Wonder Woman, do it yourself.
Everything sounds good. We know a place. Having multiple award-winning restaurants in a city. Only on a new kind of food hall with 25 iconic restaurants under one roof.
Takes it across the blue line. Great use of the stick in the defensive end by Gilmore.
They can give the opportunity.
Nighthawks get a hold of the puck along the boards.
This is
From the neutral zone now.
Mortal Kombat has some of the most iconic fighters in gaming history, but the franchise also created some of the absolute worst characters ever designed, and I'm ranking all 8 of them from dumb to catastrophically stupid. These aren't just bad fighters. These are characters so poorly conceived that even the developers regret making them, starting with the most shameless ripoff in fighting game history, Jarek. Jarek exists because the developers were lazy. Let me explain. The Mortal Kombat 4 team had already programmed Kano's entire moveset into the game engine, but decided they needed new characters instead of bringing back ones. Their solution was to create a new guy and give him every single move Kano had. The cannonball roll, the eye laser, even the heart rip fatality, all copy-pasted directly from Kano with 0 changes. His Armageddon bio card literally refers to him as the Kano character from MK4. The developers admitted it in writing. He's a military crew-cut guy with a goatee wearing an orange vest with a black dragon logo. Nothing about him is original or interesting. But here's where Jarek became legendary for all the wrong reasons. His Mortal Kombat 4 ending is one of the most unintentionally hilarious cutscenes in fighting game history. Jax holds Jarek over a cliff edge. Jarek screams in the worst voice acting you've ever heard. Wait, this is brutality. You can't do it, Jax responds with equal terrible delivery. Wrong, Jarek. This is not a brutality. This is a fatality. Then he drops it. The stiff animation, the absurd dialogue, the complete lack of self-awareness. It became a YouTube meme phenomenon that's still getting laughed at decades later. Watch Mojo called him the poster boy of uninspired fighters who only exist to fill an arbitrary new character quota. Even Mortal Kombat X acknowledged how bad he was. Jax has intro dialogue where he calls Kano a second-rate Jarek, which is an ironic in-universe joke about the clone situation. The franchise itself admits Jarek is a knockoff, but at least Jarek functions as a complete character, unlike the disgusting mess that comes this. Draman is one of only 2 characters that Ed Boon has publicly named as his least favorite in the entire franchise, and when you look at him, it makes perfect sense. He's a rotting corpse with an iron club bolted to one arm, a sword permanently stuck in his shoulder, and a constant swarm of flies buzzing around his body. Fans described him as the disgusting beat, only with random items bolted onto his body. His concept sounds promising on paper. A cruel warlord tortured in the Netherrealm for centuries until he went insane, became an Oni demon, and wears a magic mask called the Face of Kunlo that supposedly controls his rage. Cool backstory. But in execution, he's just a gross visual mess that nobody wanted to play. Here's where it gets worse. His gameplay was catastrophically bad. Draman had no dial-up combos in any of his fighting styles. Zero. He only had pop-up combos, which made him painfully slow and overly reliant on special moves. And the swarm of flies constantly buzzing around him visually obscured the action, making matches harder to follow. Playing as Draman felt like a punishment. In a Game Informer article titled 10 Things You Don't Know About Ed Boon, Draman and Shu Hao were specifically named as Ed Boon's 2 least favorite Mortal Kombat characters, with Boon indicating their chances of returning were essentially zero. When Armageddon forced every character back into the roster, the developers replaced both of Draman's unique fighting styles with Reptile's Hung Guard, a complete lazy shortcut that shows exactly how little they cared about this character. But the franchise wasn't done humiliating. In the Mortal Kombat X comics, Quan Chi punished Draman by burning his skin off entirely, leaving only bones. Even in the story, NetherRealm kept finding new ways to degrade a character they clearly regretted creating. But if you think a fly-covered demon is bad, wait until you hear about the background sprite that somehow became a final boss. Blaze has one of the most baffling character promotions in gaming history. He started as a tiny background sprite in Mortal Kombat 2, a burning humanoid figure fighting another character a bit too bridge. That's it. He was an unexplained visual detail that fans nicknamed Torch and speculated about for years. Then, in Armageddon, he was elevated to the single most important character in the entire Mortal Kombat universe. The final boss whose defeat determined the fate of all gods. Is that Blaze is literally just a humanoid figure on fire with zero personality. His name is Blaze. He's a friend. That's the entire character. Watch Mojo said he has the personality of a block of wood and feels like a plot device rather than a fully fleshed out character. Compare him to iconic Mortal Kombat bosses like Shao Kahn, who has memorable dialogue, an intimidating presence, and a visual identity that screams power. Or Goro, a 4-armed champion of Mortal Kombat who dominated the tournament for 9 generations. Blaze has none of that. No memorable lines, no intimidation factor, no visual identity beyond being on fire. Here's where it gets worse. His Armageddon boss fight reused Onaga's animations from Deception, the supposed main antagonist of the game, the culmination of the entire original Mortal Kombat timeline, and they gave him recycled animations from the previous game's boss. He never received his own fatality across any appearance in any game. For a franchise built on brutal finishing moves, the final boss of Armageddon doesn't have one. His backstory involves being corrupted by Onaga's holy men, which conveniently means the entire original timeline's ending fails due to a random plot contrivance. The famous Armageddon intro cinematic showing all the warriors battling up a pyramid toward Blaze is genuinely awesome. It's one of the most iconic trailers in Mortal Kombat history. Blaze himself is the least interesting thing in it. A background sprite with no personality became the most important character in MK lore, but at least he was intentionally designed as a character. unlike the accidental nightmare that comes next. Meat was never supposed to be a character. Let me be very clear about this. MK4 art director Tony Goski created a cosmetic skin, a bloody skeleton and muscle model that could be placed over any selected fighter as an Easter egg. That's it. Meat had no moves of his own. He was a texture swap for visual shock value, and it broke the game. If Sub-Zero froze Meat, the character underneath would clip through and become visible. Various attacks caused original character parts to poke through the muscle. Completing arcade mode as Meat caused the game to literally reset itself. He wasn't a functional character. He was a graphical novelty that shattered when you engaged with it too seriously. Then Armageddon made him a full playable character, and things got significantly weirder. Meat is canonically a failed genetic experiment from Shang Tsung's flesh pits, who escaped before being fully formed. He's a skinless humanoid with exposed raw muscle tissue and an eyeball dangling from his socket. His special move called mutilation involves popping this eyeball back into place to restore health. His head roll attack has him rip off his own head and bowl it at opponents like a grotesque bowling ball. Here's where the absurdity peaks. He's listed at 5'7" and 250 pounds. A skinless figure with no organs weighs 250 pounds. Game Revolution wrote, the worst athletic commission probably wouldn't clear him to wash a car, let alone fight. The numbers make zero biological sense. His Armageddon ending might be the most ridiculous in Mortal Kombat history. He defeats Blaze and gains shape-shifting powers. But because he has no sense of identity, he loses himself completely and disappears into obscurity. The developers wrote his own irrelevance directly into the canon. They created him, made him playable, then had his ending literally erase him from existence. MK art director Steve Barron joked that Meat has a cousin named Scully who is just a skeleton, but he never made it into the game. Even the joke characters have joke relatives that didn't happen. Meat is what happens when a texture glitch gets promoted beyond its station, but at least he was unintentional. The next character was deliberately designed to be as gross and unfunny as possible. B.O. Rai Che-O. His name is a pun. Bofu Rai Cho equals borracho, which is Spanish for drunk.
I will become the nightmare of this realm. By the sun.
Character artist Herman Sanchez confirmed they took the Spanish word, broke it into 3 syllables, and used it because it felt Asian-sounding enough. This obese, perpetually intoxicated martial arts master from Outworld is the man who canonically trained Liu Kang, the greatest Earthrealm warrior, the champion who defeated Shang Tsung and saved the realm multiple times, learned everything from a guy whose core abilities involve vomiting and flatulence. Let that sink in. Liu Kang's teacher is a farting drunk. His signature moves include the puke puddle, where he vomits on the floor to make opponents slip. He randomly farts during gameplay and stance switching. His belly flop is a legitimate special move. His Mortal Kombat deception fatality, the fartality, has him light a match near his rear end and incinerate his opponent with a flaming fart. In Mortal Kombat 11, his only appearance is as a tower modifier, where he farts across the screen to support fighters. Ed Boon stated Bo Raicho was created because he wanted a basically slobby character. That was the creative vision. One forum commenter captured the community frustration perfect. He is the prime mark of when MK started losing its subtle humor and started making an ass of itself. The franchise went from mysterious ninja warriors and interdimensional sorcerers to toilet humor that wouldn't pass on a children's cartoon. Here's the truly frustrating part. His lore justification is genuinely clever. Bo Raicho can't compete in Mortal Kombat tournaments himself because his victory would count for Outworld, where he was born. So instead, he trains Earthrealm warriors to fight on their behalf. That's actually a smart concept. A brilliant master working behind the scenes to protect a realm he can never officially represent. It's buried under layers of third-grade fart jokes. The franchise itself treats it like a punchline. In Mortal Kombat X's story mode, he gets kicked through a wall by revenants in a Looney Tunes-style moment, then dragged away helpless. In Mortal Kombat 11, the Collector mocks Liu Kang directly. That drunken fool trained you. Even in universe, characters question how Liu Kang learned anything from this guy. But at least Bo Raicho has original moves. The next character is literally codenamed after someone from a completely different franchise, Cobra. During development, Cobra's placeholder name was literally Ken Masters, the exact name of the character from Street Fighter. A German gaming magazine published beta screenshots identifying him by this name before release. He's a blonde martial artist and a white GI obsessed with fighting. The resemblance to Ken for Street Fighter is so brazen, it borders on intellectual property mockery. They didn't even try to hide it. His name, Cobra, doubles as a reference to the Cobra Kai Dojo from the Karate Kid, completing a character built entirely from other franchises' DNA. He's a walking copyright lawsuit that somehow made it into the final game. His backstory tries to be dark and edgy. He's a karate student who started killing drug dealers in New York back alleys, got addicted to murder, and escalated to robbing convenience stores. It reads like an edgy teenager's creative writing assignment. Someone trying way too hard to make a Street Fighter clone seem threatening, failing badly. Screw Attack described him as a direct knockoff, only not being able to pull it off, and turning him into a generic white guy. There's nothing memorable about him. No unique visual design, no interesting abilities, no personality. He's literally just white tray guy who likes fighting. They're making There is literally nothing else to say about Cobra. And it's already been a chore writing this much. There's not even a real reason not to like him. He's just so completely unremarkable that there's nothing to like. 100% useless. The franchise itself forgot he existed. In Armageddon's Conquest mode, David easily dispatches him while Kieran abandons him mid-fight. His own Black Dragon partner leaves him behind because he's that forgettable. The ultimate insult comes in Mortal Kombat X. Aaron Black has pre-fight dialogue with Kano where he says, "I killed a member of the Black Dragon. I think his name was Cobra." The franchise literally has characters forget his name after killing him. Here's the ironic twist. Cobra was one of Deception's most overpowered fighters. Event Hubs called him the most hated top tier in Mortal Kombat history. He was tournament viable, competitively strong, and players despised him. A blatant rip-off character with zero personality dominated the meta, which made the community hate him even more. But at least Cobra was designed as a complete fighter. The next character wasn't even finished. Mocap. Mocap is a martial arts teacher from the north side of Chicago who was recruited by Johnny Cage to do motion capture work for a movie. He wears a full motion capture suit, covered in tracking balls, while fighting alongside thunder gods, dead ninjas, and interdimensional sorcerers. He was created as a tribute to Carlos Pesina, the real-life martial artist who played Raiden in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, and served as Midway's primary motion capture actor for years. The tribute resulted in one of the franchise's most despised characters. Mocap was added so late in Deadly Alliance's development that he lacked his own fighting styles, had no weapon stance, and had no fatality. His moves were borrowed from other characters. He's a patchwork fighter stitched together from leftover assets. To unlock him, players had to complete Conquest mode with every single character in the game, an enormous time investment that took hours. Your reward for this massive grind was a broken joke fighter who couldn't even finish his opponents properly. He never received his own finishing move across any game in the entire series. A Mortal Kombat character with no fatality. In a franchise built entirely on brutal finishing moves, Mocap has zero across multiple appearances. That's like making a racing game character who can't drive. Watch Mojo ranked him the #1 worst Mortal Kombat character ever created. Their explanation: as a joke, Mocap is not particularly funny. As a legitimate fighter,
If you're Lucha Peter, fuck you. Think.
It's a great collection of weapons, blades, swords, bows, spears, and shields. Across all these great games we've gotten a lot of great weapons and some not great weapons. Welcome back to the Chimps and Lemons channel, where we talk about Chimps never and Lemons equally never as well. But today I'm going to be ranking. And when I say all of them, I'm not going to be ranking every single shield you get in God of War Ragnarok or God of War 2019. Sorry, but I'm not doing all that. But today I'm going to be ranking all the weapons you get through the God of War games. And again, I'm not ranking all the brute attacks you get in God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2019. Because that would be way too long. Weapons and upgrades again. So the tier list I'm doing is what I found on the tier maker website. And I just changed it up a little bit. I changed the top tier to God of War, the second best tier being Titan, third being Spartan, fourth being Demigod, fifth being Mortal, and last being the ass of Zeus. Let's just say God of War is a 10 out of 10 weapon, Titan is a 9 out of 10 weapon, very good but not quite perfect. Spartan's a solidly good weapon, Demigod's kind of the middle of the road, not very great, not very bad. It's pretty lame, pretty bad, and that's Zeus' horrible. Okay? You got it? Let's start the list. We gotta start the list with OG weapon of Blades, Chaos. Now, this Blades Chaos is Chain Purpose and Ascension. And let's just go to the chase. Blades of Chaos are S tier weapons. There's a reason this weapon ever got more game. There's a reason this game series took off as it did. It's because how good this weapon is. You can literally do pretty much anything with it. You can grab, they can throw things, you can hit stuff. They're powerful, they're fast. They have so many different combos. And through God of War 1, Chain of Olympus, Ascension, there is a little bit of difference in what you can do with combinations, because they all structurally do the same thing. They're slicey, they're dicey, they're awesome, and they're just the perfect weapon to go for a main character creative. It has to go on the S tier. What else is there to say? The next one we're talking about is the Blades of Athena, and might as well talk about the Blades of Exile, because they're essentially the same thing, just slightly different color and a different name. The only difference is there's so many different combos you can do, which again are awesome, and they are very unique to these games. But of course, at the end of the day, it's still great. It's still zombie warriors now. You still stab minotaurs. It's still heads of Cerberus. It's all the same thing.
The icebreakers sweep it up along the board. And he loses control here.
And speaking of blades, let's go to the God of War 2018 and Ragnarok blades of Chaos. Now, these also function very similarly, as you can still deploy previous, the classic move that everyone loves doing, fast triangles. But there is some other stuff you can do with it as well, and that is also great. Now, do I think this works better than the ones in the three games? I would say no, just because the style of God of War 2018 and Ragnarok is more based on like a Dark Souls thing, where it's like, it really shows the heaviness of the weapon when you use your hands and blades. Whereas not pulling it around in the days, he's floating on it. Like, you can see there's no weight behind the blades, so he's fine. But at the end of the day, the blades are still awesome. Regardless of what technology they're in, they're still great. Blades of Chaos, God of War 2018 and Ragnarok are still going in the S tier. And honestly, it's still the best weapon Kratos has. I love the axe. We'll get to that axe later. But it is still a great weapon, especially with all the runic attacks you can do with it as well. It's just a you can't mess with it. Let's look at some OG weapons to play art. And I'm just going to ruffle some feathers off, but I'm going to blade them on this going forward. It's going to make some of you mad or not. But for me, when I'm playing God of War 1, I just keep using it. And I know it's probably useful for like a speed run, or you just like the big heavy sword. But going for Blades of Chaos, they're so fast and so range to like a Blade of Artemis that's like slightly stronger, and it's slow as hell, and you can hit like one enemy at a time. It's like, get the shit out of here, man. I'm gonna use this blade, man. I used it a little bit. But like realistically, when you're playing God of War 1, you're like, I'm not going to split this. You're either using all Blades of Chaos, or only a little bit of the Blade of Artemis. You know what I'm doing. If you are, this is how a great game. Let's clear the boards here.
Great save by the goaltender. They've got
my video. You like it, whatever. This was the sword of Kratos. And the game, you use the sword once. Is it like the sword of gods? I really don't know what it's called, but this sword is alright. Put it in the
set, face off, ready to resume play.
I think that's a good fit. It's a solid weapon. You only use it once. You get to do some cool stuff with it. You can stab areas with it, and do like a cool jump shot move in areas with it. You only use it once, but it's pretty solid. I like the sword. That's nothing special. It's the basic like stealth sword, but still, I think it's alright. How about the Spear of Destiny?
Yeah,
The Spear of Destiny. This one is tough because I like this better than I like the Blade of Artemis. But then again, I think I like a lot of it better than the So where's this gonna go? I'm gonna put this at the demigod tier. I think it's okay. I think it's an upgrade from the Blade of Artemis because it's got a new style, like a double-edged kind of spear thing. But it's still not as good as like, you know, it's like, well, I could use the Blades of Chaos and I could use the Spear of Destiny. It's like, really? You want to use the Spear of Destiny? That? Alright, you do, man. I think it's okay. Again, I don't know if some people like the Spear of Destiny. If you do, that's on you, man. You can do whatever you want. But for me, I just didn't dig it. I think it's a better weapon, though, than the Blade of Artemis. But at the end of the day, it's just a weapon I have in my inventory that I'm not going to use because I got the Blades of Athena right beside me. The Barbarian's Hammer. Now, this is interesting. Now, this is a weapon that is sort of like the Blade of Artemis, as in it's very powerful but slow. However, I think the Barbarian's Hammer just has infinitely more aura And I know that's probably outdated at this point, but hell, I don't care. It's got infinitely more aura than the Blade of Artemis. You get this blade that Artemis apparently killed the Titans with, which you know her ass is lying. And then you get the Barbarian's Hammer, the weapon that was going to kill Kratos. That's a good weapon. I'm putting it in the Spartan tier. I think it's a solid weapon. I think it's way better than the Spear of Destiny, in my opinion. I think it's like, dang, you just got this weapon that was going to kill you 10 years ago, Kratos. Now you're using it to kill anyone else. That's awesome. So I like it. It's a unique weapon. It's like no weapon you've had at this point before. At this point, you've only had swords, blades, and spears, and you get this, it's a giant hammer. I think it's neat. I'm putting it in the Spartan tier as a good weapon. The Claws of Hades. The Claws of Hades are a variation of kind of Kratos' blades, but they're claws instead of blades. But still, they're very unique. You get to use them to like pull you forward. You get to release souls from it. You get nice combos with it. It's like an off-brand Blades of Chaos. In a very good way, mind you. And I think it's a very awesome weapon. It's a good weapon to give Kratos, and I think it's the first weapon you get in the Greek saga that also, like, combos with the Blades of Chaos. And it's a weapon that, like, I might go 50-50 with this with the Blades of Chaos because it's that good. So I'm going to put the Claws of Hades in the Titan tier. A great weapon. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because it's kind of just like the Blades of Chaos a little bit, but it's still a great weapon. So I got to get Claws of Hades in the great tier. Now we get to everyone's favorites, and I'm no different. The Nemean Cestus. This is going in God of War tier. The Nemean Cestus is an awesome and unique weapon because I'm pretty sure it does the most damage out of any weapon you get in God of War 3, and it's fast. The one downside is it has not very good range, but then again, it's like it's the most powerful weapon you get. It's the fastest weapon you get, and it gets so many cool combos. And they're like giant boxing gloves. You get giant boxing gloves. It's so awesome. It's just so awesome. You can stun any enemy with this. Like 2 hits to a Cyclops gets stunned. It is just like the perfect weapon for Kratos. I know you get it from Hercules, but this is a weapon I would use, honestly, more than the Blades of Chaos. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. I remember someone modded them in the God of War 2018 thing. It's like, they're that good for a weapon, man. They're that good. They did it right. Instead of giving a powerful weapon that's just slow, they did it perfectly. A powerful weapon that's fast, that has short range, but is so freaking good. Every time I fight Zeus in the first fight, I'm always using the Nemean Cestus. Just like a freaking straight up boxing match. Love the Nemean Cestus. It's arguably better than the Blades of Chaos, and it's arguably the best Kratos gets in the entire game. Has to go in the God of War tier. The Nemesis Whip. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The Nemesis Whip is the redheaded stepchild of the 4 weapons you get in God of War 3. And I know some people like the Nemesis Whip. I'm pretty sure it's used in speedruns and such. It's kind of lame. I hate to say it because it is unique. It's got kind of electric shock, you know. It can like do little cool things. Kratos can fling it with his wrist, and it kind of does little shockwave things. And you can get a lot of combo hits because you can do that flick of the shock. But like at the end of the game, when you've got the Blades of Exile fully upgraded, the Claws of Hades, and the Nemean Cestus, are you really going to use the Nemesis Whip? I mean, are you really going to use the Nemesis Whip? It's all right. It's honestly not a bad weapon, but it is overshined by the 3 stars. I'm going to put in the Spartan tier because it is a solid weapon, but we're getting like God tier weapons here, man. And you give us like a weapon that's like pretty good. It's a weapon that is kind of gets left out and something I always don't really use, especially because you get it at the end of the game. So let's go in Spartan tier. Blade of Olympus. The Blade of Olympus you use in God of War 2 when you fight Zeus, and in God of War 3 when you just get your rage mode. It's a good weapon. Blade of Olympus is a very cool weapon. I like the design. Very neat. I like how it's the most powerful weapon in the Greek games. I'm gonna give it a Titan level of ranking because I think it's really cool. I love the design of it. I love using it because when you go into rage mode, you get to spray, just freaking go crazy with it. But at the end of the day, it's a weapon you don't get to use a lot because you don't get rage mode in God of War 3. But then again, that is kind of the point of it because it's such an overpowered weapon in general. Moving on. Next, we have the Gauntlet of Zeus. And I know in this video I've been ragging on the Blade of Artemis a little, but at the end of the day, the Blade of Artemis is still a weapon that can be used in some variety. Sure, it's not as fast or as powerful as some other weapons, or not as cool looking, but you know, it's a weapon, and I can understand the appeal. Now, when I say that, I mean this in the next way possible, that the Gauntlet of Zeus is nothing compared to the Blade of Artemis. It is the worst weapon Kratos gets throughout the God of War games, and I will stand on that. Harry played Chains of Olympus recently, And when I had this one the first time, I thought it was all right. I don't want to tell you.
Hi, everybody. I'm James Cebulski for
my
EA
God, this
Sports.
weapon
Big night at one
it is so
Oasis.
bad.
They get set to
Imagine
play their
getting
first
the
game in
BB
the
assessments, but
EASHL.
instead of 2 boxing gloves, you get 1. And instead of going fast, you go slow. And instead of doing cool combos, you get to do a punch and a slam. That's it. That is the gauntlet of Zeus right there for you. It is not fun to use. It is lame as hell. And it's a weapon that I'm thinking, why did Kratos even grab this? What was the point of him getting this weapon? It's a bad weapon. I don't want to crap anybody who likes the weapon. If you like the weapon, it's fine, but I think it's the worst weapon Kratos gets as like an actual weapon he gets to use the entire game. And I don't think there's any more fitting place to put this weapon than the axe of Zeus, and that is where the gauntlet of Zeus is going. The Arms of Sparta. We get this weapon in God of War Ghost of Sparta, and it's Kratos' OG weaponry. He would use his shield and spear as all Spartans do. And I like these weapons. Do I say it's a phenomenal weapon? No. Honestly, this is probably the best they could have done with the technology of the game and the weaponry they have. It's a nice spear, you get to throw it, you can block projectiles with your shield, you can use a spear as like an actual blunt force weapon and just swing it around. It's a solid weapon. It goes well with Kratos' character, obviously, as being a Spartan. And I think it's a solid weapon. I'm going to put it in the Spartan tier. Good weapon, but I wouldn't say it's amazing. The new primary weapon Kratos gets is the Leviathan. And I love the Leviathan. Do I think it's better than, say, a Nemean Cestus or a Blitz Chaos? No, I don't think it's better than those, but I think it's a good third place in that category. The Leviathan Axe is a great weapon, and it is, I think, the best weapon outside of the Hercules boxing gloves as a short-range weapon for Kratos, because it's an axe that is very fast. You have tons of different moves you can do with it. Tons of different runic attacks you can do with it as well, and there's so many other things you can do, as like charge up the frost, you can throw it multiple different ways, and the fact that it retracts to you when you press a button is also a huge plus. Leviathan Axe is a sick one. It's a great one for Kratos to go into the Norse saga with, and it goes well with his character again, because he looks like a freaking lumberjack. And the axe just encapsulates what a God of War character would use, and I love it. And I think Leviathan Axe deserves to be in the God of War team.
Officials have got both teams ready, and it looks like play is set to resume here. They win the draw and go on the attack. Here's a race for the loose puck. Grabs it in his own end. Puts a little mustard on the hit. Oh! Denied on the breakaway. Oh, he came up clutch there.
Well, he really did. Anytime that you're one-on-one, you
34
gotta beat the shooter.
IQ. I make less money than friends who barely passed high school. That's what I finally discovered. Last week, a kid I tutored in high school posted on Facebook. He just made partner at his love. On vacation. Living the life everyone assumed I would have. I tutored him because he's struggling with concepts that I understood instantly. Now he's successful. But I'm sitting alone on New Year's Eve, staring at another year wasted. Wondering what the hell to me. 43 years old, IQ of 134, teachers call me gifted, guidance counselor said I'm paraphrasing the president.
There's the physical side.
He's dangerous.
Stoppage in play as the whistle's blown. It looks like that pane of glass got busted from that shot. Wow.
There used to be that saying, they don't make them like they used to, James. On this case, it's all
So
for
as
the
you know on
better,
this
as
channel,
the
we
glass
know that nobody
technology
hates
is
women
so much
more than
stronger, and a blistering
today,
shot,
we're
nobody's going to crack or
women
spider the
complaining
glass.
about their
But
female
nowadays, you can
bosses.
just replace the
And
pain, so we'll have to wait for the maintenance
be
crew
honest,
to
they're
make
never
sure
good.
that they take
They're
care of
never
it.
good. You never know when they'll be happy. You piss off about something else and take it out.
The Nighthawks have it against the wall. Moves the puck from off the bank pass. And that's out of reach and out of the offensive zone.
That's why you don't always feel those two big, strong people.
Certainly was lined up perfectly, body on body, weight distributed
She sees you as a
right in
threat,
there.
actually.
Just a little too much contact and couldn't hang on to the puck.
It's a woman, I'd rather kill myself.
Steps inside.
Women can be
Have you seen that video of that woman? There's a beautiful walking through the airport, and all the women are just glaring at
Now into the offensive zone to the right side. And a penalty's coming up on the play.
You're on a breakaway. You have to be able to get the shot off, and he gets taken down from behind. The tripping call is going to lead to the penalty shot.
Jackson's got the puck, and here he comes. Fires it, and he misses.
Oh, that's brutal. When you get an opportunity on a penalty shot, you have to be decisive and confident.
You guys know women are terrible at money. And even though dating generally costs women nothing, women are complaining about dating.
The Icebreakers win it into the defensive
That's
zone.
interesting. Is I went to a restaurant the other day, and I asked the waitress,
Slides it across to Jordan.
She said it's mostly women that pay.
From the point, they take control of it.
This becoming bigger.
Here he is for the backhander. Oh, what a save in front.
He's the one that you want to have the puck on your stick. He's the leader in the room. He's the leader on the ice. He just doesn't get it done this time.
Area that's pretty nice. I don't know. Maybe it was like an area where mostly women lives.
Teams are ready to go, and we're about moments away from puck drop.
Anytime you go into something and you're not good on your own, whether it's even emotionally, but financially, it's like a girl. You get into a relationship with a guy, he moves in with you, you're not financially stable enough to leave him out because you need him to move with you so you can afford your rent.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're like, all you gotta do is move up for 6 months, go on dates. If you're good at being a girlfriend, you're good at that girl, you'll find what you take her.
Here's a shot.
And you're fine. You know, you have that problem regardless of
stick handling in his own zone.
on the other hand, dating a guy,
nearing the final
financially stable, somebody you can go out. Like, don't get in a relationship if you can't afford to do basic activities, because now we're all supposed to stay because you can't afford it, because everything we're going to
I should have been spending money on my boyfriend to save money.
He's ahead of the pack here, off to the races, and he gets taken down from behind, and that's going to be a penalty shot tripping all day long.
They go to all these new places, and he doesn't care about that.
It's going to be an issue. It's going to be a fight, and if you can't afford it, then you don't pay it, then it's an issue. And then eventually, now you're going to do what
between the pipes.
Yeah, you don't have to look pretty doing it. What you have to do is make yourself as big as possible and keep it up, and that's exactly what he does.
He's like, I don't need to see all of that house in my video games.
Puck is dropped, he wins the draw here in the defensive zone. It's a 2-on-1. The Icebreakers have finally opened the scoring here in the first, and not a moment too soon.
This has been a bit of a defensive juggernaut, James. We've been waiting for a goal call all game long, and we finally get it. And what this does will give them some confidence heading into the intermission.
And he slides it quickly to Kaiser. Moves it to Jordan. The Nighthawks look to start the transition game.
I was dating this one guy.
Oh, look at this chance! And the shot dies in the traffic jam. And he gets down to block it. That is right on target into the logo.
And like women say that, but sometimes it's usually like he was clouded but ugly, or like good looking but broke, or rich but ugly, emotionally unstable but hot.
The Icebreakers are holding down the lead here late in this first period. They have looked really good offensively so far. They win the face-off here in their own end and take possession. Look at this. They got somebody here on the attack. Feeds the puck over to Sackett.
Like, you have the drive, like, you have the vision, you're smart. My job as a man is to support you, be that shoulder for you to cry on and lean on if you need it, support you where you need support to possibly invest in you, like, if I see that vision and I agree with it. And it's so rare for, like, to hear that come out of a man's mouth nowadays, because they really do think that they're the brightest. Like, it's really crazy. But yeah, like, what do you guys think about that? Do you think women should be dating while they have $13 in their account?
I mean, if they're young, and plus, sugar dating is so big now. Women just find sugar daddies. It's incredible. Okay, let's do this later. Has to be 10 times worse. All right, she says dating while broke as a girl. Because of course, as a girl, that gets you in some
weird situations. So I started talking to this white guy, okay, and I'm talking hot as shit. Not some mid-white man who thinks he's cool because he works in finance. I'm talking as hot as scorns.
Okay, she's a mid. Pumped and dumped.
Okay, so when he DM'd me, I had to answer that shit right away. There was no other choice. As I'm scrolling through his Instagram, I see pictures of Porsches and Rolexes. So I'm like, oh, okay, this man has a bag. So when he...
Alright, fellas, let's start with the first level, and those are basically regular soldiers. When a soldier entered the Wehrmacht, he did not enter as an individual. He entered as a number. Most German soldiers were conscripts.